Hey everybody, we're about halfway there. This is Dr. Quinn and I'm going to do an overview for the upcoming Module 5. So I am under Course Menu and I'm on Learning Modules and I'm going to click on Module 5. I'm going to take a quick tour through this from the student perspective, and if you have any questions after you watch this video, just reach out and let me know and we can chat. Okay, so you've got the Module 5 Introduction and Guide. You've got the resources that you really should review and use them to help you build your draft for that first audience. So let's take a look first at the introduction. It just lays out those learning objectives and it has a module overview. You will remember how in the last couple of weeks we asked you first to identify your authors, audiences. Like, we've got this text, it's published in the world, and there are different readers that could be reading it. That was week 2. And then we asked you in 2.2 to identify 2 audiences for your academic paper that you're working on. This week is going to be the building of your analysis of that article, not writing on the same topic as much as how well did the writer make their case to your first audience. So your first audience is professors. You're going to look at the text with the eye in mind of how would a professor read this and what information in this text could be valuable to professors. And you're going to write that 2-ish page analysis essay for that very particular audience only. Then in week 7, you'll get a chance to modify the feedback you get from this and edit it, and also then rewrite that essay one more time for the second audience. So right now in week 5, you're just writing to that first audience. So we have content under the guide for developing a first draft, and we talk about how how essays are framed out with introduction and conclusion paragraphs. You've got different body paragraphs that hold the majority of the data. You can go beyond 3 body paragraphs. This is just to show you that essay writing is kind of like a sandwich, and that the framing elements, introduction and conclusion, are the bread that holds it together. But all the good stuff is in your body paragraphs. You save most of your data, and you write around that, include supporting evidence in the center of every body paragraph. Okay, you'll get a chance to see a student sample as well. So we'll be there in a second. Under the resources, you've got Chapter 4, Chapter 26, and how to write anything, Chapter 34. You've also got those APA and MLA resources. I will be assessing you at the draft level to see if you're starting to apply those ideas, and I'll be able to give you feedback in your draft whether you have or not. There's some additional support. There's some videos about ideas that you garner from a reading. Remember, really importantly, you're not bringing in personal experience. This is not a paper about your feelings. What this is a paper where you analyze the quality of that text as a guide. Think about it, whether you would make a recommendation for those professors, if that's your first audience, to read that text. Very, very importantly, in the draft that you're going to work on this week, you've got this guidelines and overview. I always tell students to use this. This is a checklist, not just am I going to be looking for all of these details, but you've got a rubric that tells you the value of each core component of the assignment. If you don't talk about genre, you'll lose 11% of the draft feedback. If you talk about it a little bit, but you don't say where the document was published to help us understand genre and audience, you'll probably be in the needs improvement category. So we've got the overview here. You're going to identify the topic of the text in the introduction. You'll mention the genre, not only what type of text is it informational, is it persuasive, but where it was published, and that helps us tie to audience. So you can have genre and audience in the same paragraph, right? What was the writer's intent? Talk about historical and cultural context. Look at when it was written. Probably be a good idea to mention that. And also think about, were a lot of other texts on this topic published at the time? That will help you, and in what audience will help you determine cultural context as well. And then you can go back to Module 2 and look at the feedback you got there. So that wasn't wasted work. That was all pre-writing in preparation for the assignments to come. You talk about the core idea. Throughout those body paragraphs, you have details, and then you'll talk about why perhaps that detail is important for your audience or not. Okay? And then and use evidence from the text. Remember how we practiced quoting and paraphrasing? That will come back for you in this assignment. You've got those AP and MLA templates. I recommend that you submit this document in Word So I can give you feedback on any formatting points and any grammar points. That's why it's really important for me to be in that Word document to show you how to turn some of the software tools on. I can show you how to set your margins and whatnot. So let's take a look at the MLA exemplar. You'll get a chance to see the sample. This sample does something interesting. There are comments throughout. Those comments are in bold. I often will give students comments, and I'll do it like as a bubble comment off to the side like that. That's not how it's set up here. Anything that's not bold is the student's writing. What is in bold is what the college, not myself. I did not put this in here like this, but the college did. And the idea is to talk a student through each important movement. You can see where in this reading, we got a little bit of a discussion of historical cultural context. I would do a little bit more than what's presented here, but it's a draft and it's a start. A little bit of an overview, a discussion of audience and purpose, the audience drawn out a little bit more. You can see where the thesis statement usually appears in the end of the introduction and so on. So the student writer did everything that's not in bold. And what's in bold are those notes. It's like a professor sort of sitting on your shoulder and saying, here's where these things that are gradable appear in the student sample. Okay. So you can kind of see that the student sample is maybe like 2.5 pages. There's a lot of notes in here. So it's about 2.5 pages as a draft. And then there's a works cited at the end with the source name. So this is the document that you're building up to this week. There's only one major assignment. I look forward to seeing it from everyone. And if you want feedback with me, all you have to do is reach out and set up time to, if you have a small question, you're welcome to email me. If you have a larger question, I would set up time to do a Zoom conference, and then we can work together on your document. You'll want to do that before Friday afternoon. Okay? So I wish you all luck, and I hope to hear from you if you have questions.